and sponsors, including our race entitlement sponsors, Firestone and Windstar World Casino and Resort, for coming out to give this Indy 500 champion a Texas-sized welcome. Before we introduce our 500 champ, I wanted to share some news with you regarding next Saturday night's Firestone 600. Former IndyCar star and Arlington native Jim McElreath will be our Grand Marshal for the event. And we also have as our honorary starter, UFC welterweight champion Johnny Hendricks, who's based out of Arlington with Team Takedown. So we got a little speed and we got a little power for our honorary positions next week. But I know you're all here to see our guest of honor, so we'll get going with him. He drives the number 28 DHL Dallara Honda for Andretti Autosport and is the most successful American driver currently in open wheel racing. In his 11th season, he has 13 wins, which is more than all the current American IndyCar drivers, and won the Verizon IndyCar Series Championship in 2012. However, the biggest win of his career came Sunday in the 98th running of the Indianapolis 500, where he held off Helio Castroneves in the second closest race in 500 history. He also became the first American to win the Indy 500 since Sam Hornish Jr. in 2006. Please welcome your newly crowned Indy 500 champion, Ryan Hunter Reay.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. It's certainly great to be back in Texas. You know, I was born here, so I definitely I carry the Texas flag as much as I can. But it's great to be here, coming straight from New York and coming off the biggest weekend of our lives. And it's definitely a dream come true. And I grew up as a fan of this sport, and you know, idolizing the greats. You know, Andretti, Foyt, youngsters, and I was a kid and I loved the American guys, so it's cool to see it come full circle and being at the top. Hopefully some of the kids see myself and us American drivers the same way.
Now, you spent the majority of your life, 33 years, in Florida, but tell us the Texas tie.
Well, you know, it's very similar to this guy. We're going through what is an amazing time, and he's probably not going to remember any of it, which is unfortunate, but you know, I was too young to remember, so I can't really comment on it. But we're making sure we document it all with a lot of pictures, and I'm sure some of you have seen the race suit he's been wearing. It's a lot of fun. It really is, and these are memories that we'll have forever, and hopefully we'll be able to share them with him.
Great. Before we get started with questions about the 500 win, talking about the drama, the excitement of that whole race, we have Mayor Pro Tem W.B. Zimmerman. He has a special presentation from the city of Fort Worth for you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Ryan, first of all, you're from Texas, but now you're going to be a citizen of Fort Worth. We're the home of Longhorns, and we're proud to have you wear that, and you are now an official member of the city of Fort Worth.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Proud to be.
From the mayor and the council, we're particularly glad to have you here today. And I'm not quite sure I understand the significance of this presentation.
Oh, the boot. I've always wanted it.
I don't think it resembles anything that you can equate to a lead foot, but nevertheless, we would hope you display that proudly.
Absolutely. Just another feels like another trophy from the Indy 500 since we're here talking about it. So that's awesome. That'll definitely go in the trophy cabinet.
Go in the trophy cabinet and come back and see us often.
No, we will, absolutely. Thank you very much.
And congratulations on your win.
Thanks a lot.
Now you're definitely Texan silver cowboy boot.
Absolutely. Need to get some real cowboy boots though.
We could do that for you.
Yeah, I'm sure you could. Hook me up, huh?
Yes, sir. All right, let's talk about that 500. It was an incredible battle between your teammate Marco Andretti, Helio Castroneves, drama. You're leading the race. All of a sudden, caution comes out. Not exactly what you wanted to see. Then it becomes a red flag. So take us through your thoughts and what was occurring, what you thought about the call on the red flag, if you thought it was the right call.
You know, I have never been in a race so intense in my life, let alone the one that's on the biggest stage in all of the world of racing. I mean, the Indy 500 transcends sports, it transcends motorsports. it's American tradition, and people from around the world watch it. It's the biggest single-day sporting event in the world still today, and when you walk out for driver intros, it's like no other event. There's nothing that compares to it. I've talked to football players that have played in Super Bowls and baseball players that have been in the World Series. There's nothing that comes close to that, because there's nearly 500,000 people packed into one place, and you feel the energy. Jim Neighbors sang for the last time back home again in Indiana. I remember sitting there in the car before that, listening to his voice, thinking, this is when you really know something special is going to happen. The place is just amazing. I mean, the whole thing is really amazing. And for it to come down to a fight like it did, I think the red flag in hindsight was definitely the right way to go, because the fans got what they deserved. They got a green flag finish. And I knew that car was going to create when I reference the car, I mean the current spec that we're running, the DW12, aptly named after Dan Weldon, creating amazing racing. And I knew if they give this car an opportunity to finish this race under green, that it could be one of the best ever. And even historians after the race, were telling me that this is probably the best finish they've ever seen, all in all, because of the lead changes in the last 4 laps and just what it took to win it. And I really want to tip my hat to Elio. We raced each other so hard. We wanted that win so badly. I mean, he's won 3 of them. He was going for his 4th, but he raced us clean, and that was the thing. It took a great driver on the other side as well to put on a show like that and never touch. We're going wheel to wheel, inches apart at 230 miles an hour, making things happen that we probably shouldn't. On the verge of, as we were talking about in the post-race press conference, on the verge of between stupidity and bravery, and there we were dancing that fine line right in the middle, and it was just fantastic. I will forever remember the fight that went down, and that's probably my favorite part. That's my favorite memory of the whole thing, was that we had to fight that hard to win it, and it makes it that much more rewarding to pull into victory lane and drink the milk. And it was definitely hard fought. There was no master plan at the end. When we were sitting there under red, there was no master plan of what do I need to do? Where do I need to be? Do I need to be leading? Do I need to be following on the last lap? What do I want to do? It was just get to the front, stay there, do whatever you can to make it as hard as for the guy that you're racing. And Elio did a fantastic job of it. It was a fantastic fight to the finish.
When you went back to green, 6-lap shootout, was he your main concern, or Marco, or were you concerned that the 2 may try and go high and low on you, or?
I was concerned that was my biggest concern, was the start. Number one, because of what happened in 2013, where we were leading coming to the last restart. Tony Kanaan passed me and it went yellow immediately into turn 1, and the race is over right there. So that could happen again, because I was a sitting duck sitting out front. But I got some great restarts on Sunday. I don't know what happened, but I don't know if I jumped them at the right time or what, but more times than not, I was leading into turn 1, which is pretty rare with this car. So I wasn't that worried about Marco, because he, for some reason, just wasn't. If you passed him, he wasn't passing you right back. But Elio I was worried about, because Elio was passing right back. If you passed him, he's coming right back by. That number 3 yellow Pennzoil car was really quick, and I knew that our 28 DHL Honda was the only match for it out there. And it went back and forth to the final lap. When he just pulled up, I remember seeing that nose close up in my mirror. I'm looking down in the mirror, and the checkered flags are waving. And I'm thinking, I almost have it, and he's coming closer and closer. And the whole way to the end, I was just looking in the mirror to see how close it was going to be. And when I knew he couldn't make it, my fist went straight in the air, and a feeling of chills went down my back that I've never had before.
Tell us they talk about the excitement. They said one of the best ever. That move you made when you almost went into the grass and the crowd went nuts. You're probably calm, cool, and collected in the cockpit. Everyone else was like, whoa.
Yeah. I don't know if cool was it, but I was definitely on the edge of my seat, and I thought that was the only way by Elio, because both him and I were taking a different line than we had all month. This is brand new. This is something we've never practiced, and all of a sudden we're coming off the corners, keeping the car down low to try and inhibit the other guy from getting a draft. And that's really hard to do there. You have to use up every inch of racetrack at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And to hold it down like that, you're risking turning the car around. So we were doing this, and I remember coming up behind him. I had a big draft. We're coming to the white flag into turn 3, and I thought, there's a half a car width down there. And each time that I had been braking to the outside, he saw me in my mirror and he'd end up, inching out. So I showed him a nose high. That was all he needed to see to start creeping to the right. And then I faked to the right, went to the left, and just fitted in there and got the pass on. But it wasn't the last one. I was going to have to do it again. So it was really tough. But like I said, wouldn't have it any other way. That was an amazing fight.
Like we mentioned earlier, first American since Sam Hornets to win the 500. For you, just hearing the chants of USA, it's Memorial Day weekend. You're draped in the American flag. Is this a total dream you're looking at? I mean, it's just a surreal moment, it seems like.
It is, and with that I have to mention, without our servicemen and women across the world, keeping America free and keeping the USA what it is today, we wouldn't be able to race. We wouldn't be able to do what we're doing. And greatest country in the world, and I'm proud to represent America in what is a very international sport. We have, like you just mentioned, a U.S. driver hasn't been to victory lane there since 2006, and I saw the stats of what it's been over the past 25 years, and there's only been a few of us. So I'm very proud of that because, as I mentioned at the beginning, I grew up as a fan of the sport, and I like the American guys. That's who I always rooted for. When I was a kid, I wore their T-shirts. Their posters were on my room, my walls in my room, and it really gave me a lot of pride to get that picture with the American flag, raising that American flag up in victory lane.
You won a championship, as we mentioned, 2012. But do you feel the Indy 500 victory truly validates a driver? Is that what takes you over the top? Does that separate you from others at times? Do you feel it?
It's a great question. The Indy 500 is so much different than a championship. It's one race, but you go back there year after year. You spend a month there, so it's almost like its own championship. But it is bigger than motorsports. It's a part of American history. This is where the auto industry came to prove that each auto manufacturer used to come here and prove that their cars, their products were worthy of winning the hardest race in the world, the toughest race in the world, a race of 500 miles around the Brickyard. And it still is the biggest race. But from a driving perspective, there's a certain feeling you get from winning the championship because you've won the only series in the world that races on road circuits, street circuits, ovals, super speedways, short ovals. It's the only one that does every discipline like that on pavement. And amongst your peers, there is a certain sense of satisfaction that comes with that. But the Indy 500 is by far the best. That is tops for sure. And the two together actually is what every IndyCar driver wants to achieve.
Since 2012, you've been on quite a roll. You won the championship. You had your son riding. You won the Indy 500 now. People would say, Ryan Hunter Reay, charm life. But if you look back, it's been a hard climb for you. You bounced around from team to team. You're in the Champ Car Series, bounced around there, got your break with Andretti in 2010. Take us through that and what was going through your mind if you thought you could succeed in this sport, if you were going to get the chance to succeed?
Yeah, that makes the good times even better. I hopped around from team to team. In racing, it's all about the sponsors. It's all about corporate support. And when you don't have it, things just don't go right. And I had to hop around from team to team, learning new people. And in 2006, through the good part of 2007, I didn't have a job. I was just going and coaching, teaching amateur drivers at the local racetrack, regular lessons, and I was doing anything I could to get a job. I would go to, I tested some for Hendrick and GM and Robbie Gordon, my brother-in-law actually had me testing his Nationwide car and his Cup car at the time, and got a lot of experience doing that. But then I got the call from Bobby Rahal to come drive the ethanol car, the number 17 ethanol car. The next year out, we went Rookie of the Year at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the series. But I haven't won at Texas Motor Speedway yet, and I desperately want to do that. I want to fire those pistols. You hear when absolutely. There's no victory celebration quite like that. And I remember, we finished second here last year to Elio, our arch nemesis, I guess. When you're climbing out of the car and you're walking back to your truck, rocking back to the transporter, a bit dejected, you hear those pistols go off. It's like salt on the wounds. But I desperately want to do that. I have my own gun collection at home, and That's something I really want to. That's next most important on my list. And Texas has been there's been so many races here, IndyCar races here, and it always produces great racing. This year with the aero package that we're coming back with, it's going to be, I think, some of the most intense racing that we've ever seen here. So we're really looking forward to it. You know, the high banks. I can't wait to see the big screen. You know, I wish I might actually buy an apartment there just so I can sit there and watch that thing. But that is amazing. So very good job to you guys for making that track bigger and better than it already was. It was already you know, one of the top in the world. So it's definitely next on my list. But yeah, like you mentioned, my career has been up and down all over the place. And you know what? My career at Indianapolis has been the same. I've actually been sitting in the car out of the show when I've left pit lane for qualifying and the gun went off and I heard the gun go off, and then we bumped our way back into the 500. We've been bumped out by our teammate before, Marco. That was just a horrible year in 2011, and that was the kickstart the team needed, the real kick in the pants, and we've come back since then, and we've come back with a vengeance. But I've experienced the bottom there, and I've experienced the top. It can be so cruel and so rewarding, and finally made it all happen, and couldn't have been done with a better group of people, you know, the team around me. I would never have been able to do it without them, and they've supported me every bit of the way.
Now you talked about shooting off the guns. Only 2 drivers have drank the milk and shot the guns off at Texas Motor Speedway, Ari Lyondike and Dixie. So for you, we want to give you a little preview of the guns, just see if you like them or not.
Preview?
Yeah.
Is that like, I don't know, is that like drinking the milk before the Indy 500? Because I'll never do that.
No,
you know, they want you to do that.
You said you got that 1911 pistol at Indy?
No.
We do it bigger here. You get 2 guns, not just one.
What do you guys think? Is this? I just hope I'm not jinxing myself here by firing off the guns.
Straight up and crank it. Pull the hammer.
That was awesome. Thank you. That was a pretty quick request. That's what happens when you win the 500. You ask for something, all of a sudden, beautiful lady appears with 2 guns. That's awesome. Thank you. Texas style for sure.
See, we didn't give you the cowboy hat. That would have jinxed it because it would have been the whole complete set. So that
Okay,
was just
good
a
deal.
tease.
Thank you.
Just a
Now
tease.
I know. Yeah, the whole package is in there.
During the Indy 500 hoopla, what everyone has kind of missed is that you are now the championship leader. So talk about your chances for another championship. I mean, everyone's talking 500, 500. You have to go to Detroit this weekend, come
Yep.
here next weekend and start focusing on a championship run.
Yeah, you know, when the great stars in sports win their events, they say, you know, I just won whatever. I just won the Super Bowl and I'm going to Disney World. And I finish up my championship celebration speech there with, I just won the Indy 500 and I'm going to Detroit. So yeah, we're back in the office this weekend, back in Detroit for a doubleheader. But there's still a championship to win. That was the greatest thing I think about winning the 500 was Ryan Rigsby, who's been working so hard. Thank you for all your hard work on everything from the team side of it. She told me after the race, she started reminding me of things that we get. It's just amazing everything that goes with the race. You win the race, drink the milk, you get your face on the Borg Warner Trophy, the pace car. All of a sudden, I remember that. You get the pace car, the Z28 pace car, which my first car was the Z28, so that was pretty cool. And then, you know, she reminded me that we were leading the championship, and 274 points. We're leading it by 40 over willpower, and absolutely, we're going for another championship. It's going to be tough. It's going to be really tough to pull it off this year, but this is a great position, best we've ever been post Indianapolis. So, really looking forward to that. That buffer that we have there, hopefully we can hold that. If we do well at Detroit, we finished second at Detroit last year at one of the races, so hopefully we can continue to ride this wave of momentum.
And also finish a career best second at Texas last year.
Yeah, exactly. Career best at Texas, finishing second. We were catching Elio those last few laps, didn't quite have enough time to pull it off, but you know what the good news is? We've extended the race, so play the cards the same way, I'll just pass Elio there on the last lap and make for another exciting finish.
Eddie, will you take that? Let's take some questions from the audience.
Thank you guys. I appreciate all of you for coming out today. This is awesome, you know, to go fly from New York and then come straight here off the plane to Texas and see a full house here. Thank you. This is very cool.
Our pleasure. All right, let's take some questions.
I know winning was the biggest moment of the race, but besides that, what moment makes you like, oh man, just the second biggest moment of the race?
It's a good question. I mean, after I cross the start-finish line, you're so in the battle. You're so mentally saturated in what's happening. You don't have time to really think about what's on the line, and you don't have time to think about it. Even when the race was over, on the cool-down lap, you're looking at 300,000 people in there and waving at them. But when you pull into victory lane, you pop out of the car and they hand you some milk, and you look over and you see, I saw my wife Becky and my son Ryan and my dad who's been there from the very beginning, got me in the first go-kart to, and he's been with me all the way till the victory on Sunday. That's probably the best part, is to see the people. You need your support team at the track, your race team, but you also need your personal support team in anything in life, and that probably was the best part.
Cool.
Thank you.
Hey, Ryan, I just wanted to say that last move was just awesome.
Thank you.
And did you kind of size them up for that, or did you know that what you were going to do there, and did you think you were going to hit the grass?
I did think I was going to hit the grass. I was coming through turn 2, and I said, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try it. It might not work, but this is what we're going to do. So I came down, drafted up on him, and once I decided to go right and I pulled it back left, there was no bailing out of it. It was just kind of lock and load, here we go. 110% committed, and I thought I was going to maybe touch a little bit of grass. I'm okay with that, but got underneath him just in time before the corner to force him up, to move him up to the side. So it was very late. It was a very late decision in the whole process.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What's your favorite thing to do outside of racing?
Favorite thing to do outside of racing is spend time with this little guy over here, my son, and probably outside of that is any type of diving, scuba diving or free diving. We have a boat in Fort Lauderdale, and make sure I get out on that. And I've been getting more and more into the free diving side of things, spearfishing. That's how I kind of get away from the tense lifestyle of racing. That's kind of my escape. So it's pretty cool.
Is your wife afraid to get in the car with you when you drive on the normal streets?
No, her brother's Robbie Gordon. He's a nut. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So she's ridden in trophy trucks with him. She's driven the Baja 1000. She's raced the Baja 1000 before, and no, she's not. And I'm actually pretty mellow on the road. Well, that was a big bug. I'm pretty mellow on the road.
Yeah, we're all big in Texas.
Yeah, everything's big in Texas. I'm pretty mellow on the road. I've only got a few tickets. Before the Indy 500, just a few months before that, I got a ticket for 45 and a 35. So that's about as crazy as I get, right there. But no, I take care of the family for sure when they're in the car. So.
What do you drive?
I drive. Well, you can see this very beautiful logo here, Honda. I drive an Acura MDX, and I also have. I'm probably the only race car driver. It's another reason why Texas crowd. I'm trying to sell you guys here, but I've got a GMC Sierra 2500 pickup, and I will bet right now, without knowing, I am the only IndyCar driver with a pickup truck as my personal driver.
That might very well be true.
Yeah.
This has been a great treat. I just wonder what's your strategy for the last 10 or 20 laps? Where do you want to position yourself?
For this race or for Indy?
Well, we'll talk about both of them.
Yeah, Indy, judging off of last year, you wanted to be in second place on the last lap because of how straightforward setting up a pass would be. But this year, it was hotter than last year, about 20 degrees hotter, and that made for the cars to move around a little bit more. That we were sliding around through the corner a bit. The front didn't have as much grip, so you couldn't set up passes as easy. And that's why it became, with Elio and I, it became pass when you can. No strategy, no setting up or sitting back and waiting. There was waiting in the race because you could kind of take your time and save fuel behind the guy in front of you. And when you save fuel, all it does really for you is make your stop shorter. When you stop in for fuel, you have less fuel to fill up. So it makes your stop shorter. You can beat the guy out that was in front of you burning the fuel. But for Texas, you know, it depends on. I think with the new downforce rules that we're coming back with, we're adding a little bit more downforce than we had last year. Last year, it strung out a little bit because the downforce package we had was pretty skimpy. Now we're coming back with more downforce. It'll tighten the cars up a little bit more. It'll bring them together more. Not going to say completely a total pack race, but it'll be much closer racing. And again, I'm going to go with lead when you can. I mean, that's the best place to be. You control the pace of the race. You put the other cars where you want them at that point. If you want the bottom, it's yours. If you want the top, it's yours. And you're forcing them to go somewhere else. So I'm always for leading when you can. Very, very, very few times, very seldomly would I ever want to just be second place coming out of the last corner or the last lap.
Hey Ryan, I just want to say what a class act. I watched you in Victory Lane. Thank your team about 5 times. I thought that was awesome.
Thank you.
Second question, what more do you think can be done to bring back the popularity of the sport? I grew up watching, Mario and Alan and all those guys, and it seems like the sport hasn't totally recovered from the awful split one time. And I think, you winning goes a long way, but what else have you done?
Thank you. Well, certainly me winning the Indy 500 is not going to do it. I mean, it's great to have an American in victory lane, but it's about the whole package. And the thing that really gets me about IndyCar racing, it's the best racing in the world. Everybody says it. The other sports say it. I mean, I got a text from Jimmy Johnson yesterday saying, that race was absolutely insane. I was on the edge of my seat, and I've heard F1 guys say that the IndyCar racing is definitely the best. Some media outlets called IndyCar racing the best kept secret in motorsports. And that's a shame because it is. It's a great show week in and week out. But IndyCar racing had gained its momentum. It built up this huge wave, and then the split broke it down to nothing. 2008, we got back together, which is only 5 years ago, 6 years ago. And it needs to gain more following, and when you get that snowball effect going and it starts growing, that's when things will happen. But it doesn't happen overnight. We just had Verizon come on as the IndyCar Series title sponsor. They've done a lot in a short amount of time. That's a long-term deal. That'll go a long way for it. And also, just working on pushing through to mainstream media outside of motorsports. There's a small arena that motorsports is in, right? And once you get outside of that and you start getting the interest stories, then it'll take off. But it's not going to be a short road, and I think it's on the right direction now. So it's a great time to be an IndyCar driver, and we're all flying the flag. That's for sure. Thank you.
First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
I was wondering, knowing the way the particular chassis is you have now, when you get out in front, seems to be a sitting duck instead of a clean air mentality. So in knowing that, when you made the last pass, what the heck was going through your mind at that point?
It was that. Oh no, I hope that wasn't too soon. And I came through, I think because Elio was on the bottom on the last lap. When I went around the outside of him in turn 1, he was on the bottom very late into the corner and he had to lift. And that killed his momentum through turn 2. So he didn't have a chance to pass me going into 3. So his only other option was 4. I got a really good run through 4, and it just wasn't enough. I think had we had one more lap, he was going to pass me on the outside of turn 1, and who would have known what happened. But when I did it, I thought, man, I hope that wasn't too soon, but who cares? Let's make this thing as hard as we can for him to get back around us. And sure enough, it worked out the way the pass went. When I came up next to him, instead of coming back out to the outside to set up for turn 1, I kept it down on the inside to make his life more difficult going into turn 1. He was going to have to make a tighter radius through the corner, And ultimately, my plan was for him to lift, and I think that's what made the difference.
Great questions, thank you very much. And Texas is all about tradition, so although you got to do the tradition on Sunday, you didn't get to do with all these folks that came out here to see you. So we're going to do a milk toast to you for being the Indy 500 champ. And
That's awesome.
Here comes the milk with everybody.
I actually haven't had, I drank the milk so quick in Victory Lane. I got through it and through some of my team, and I asked, okay, can I have another bottle? And they're like, that was your bottle. You're done. I thought they were going to give me like 5 bottles up there. Thank you. This is different.
Eddie, come on up, and Becky, Ryden, come on up.
He wouldn't drink the milk. It's so funny because every time I'm drinking a bottle of water or anything, he wants to drink it. And there we are on the motorsport's biggest stage. We have a bottle of cold milk, and I go to offer it to him, and he turns his head away like he didn't want it. So I regret that one for sure. But I bet he drinks it now. Here, buddy.
To the Indy 500 champion.
Thank you, guys.
It's good practice when he's the future Indy 500 champion.
Good boy.
He's going to do interviews.
He's had as many media requests as I have.
Ryan, thanks so much for coming out here today with everyone here. Thank you to everyone out here for coming out and being part of this special day with Ryan Hunter Reay. We're going to go do some media interviews. But once again, thank you very much. Have a great day. We appreciate you coming out.
Thank you, guys.